so surreal. This is such an honor to be here. We grew up right where you are all sitting right now, and it has been such like going down memory lane tonight for us, but such an honor because it's a huge part of our lives, and we cannot thank Robert and Elizabeth enough. They changed our lives.
Yeah, I have to get up here because I gotta say thanks to my wife for letting me get out of the house with 3 little kids. But then thinking about meeting my wife, I met her at a house party when she said, "Yo, Spy Kids!" And I turned around and love at first sight. But I can't help but then think about how not only did Robert give me an incredible opportunity, he gave me my life and my wife and my kids and everything. And
that's how I met my husband too. He literally came up to my window, knocked on the door, and said, "Oh, shiitake mushrooms." Literally from the movie. Like, great, you know what? Spy Kids found us our spouses. Thank you.
So thank you, Robert, for your creative genius. And but being married, behind every creative genius is an even more brilliant woman. So really, I want to thank Elizabeth for making it all happen. So, your turn.
I'll pass it to you guys.
It is such a huge honor to be here, and especially the fact that it's been, this party is a troublemaker this year. It changes where it happens. So you're sitting basically in a place that has been many different sets, but especially in Spy Kids. Imagine the kids' bedroom, the parents' bedroom, the set where they go down that chute to get on the super guppy, or the guppy. And then the interior of the safe house was all built here. And it was just this incredible, magical place where you saw quite a bit of things that we shot in this room. And that is the magic of movies and the magic of the teams and the wonderful crew that is mostly from Texas that either moved from LA and stayed with us in Texas since, and just have created so many films with us here. And I just feel so proud to receive this award for a movie that means so much to us and that our children have participated in. We've made 5 of them, and they've gotten to be a part of at least 1 or 2 of them. I'm so grateful to have met Robert at the University of Texas from the beginning in 1988. And for us to have created something that is so lasting that 25 years later, I go on a movie set in somewhere like Tenerife, Canary Islands, Spain, and the kids, all they want to talk, the crew want to talk about Spy Kids, of all things. It's a part of their lives, even in Spain, even anywhere in the world where I go. Oklahoma, I shot a film, it was the same. They wanted all the stories about Spy Kids. And it's precious, because you're talking now about young people that are adults, like in their 20s and 30s. And so, it means something. It means a lot. It shows you how movies, how art can change you and save you. And a lot of times kids would say, "My name is Carmen," or "My name is Junie," or "My last name is Cortez. I'm a Latino kid." They wrote letters to Robert, and it's so touching that not only did it help lots of kids, but it really, really connected with our Latino community. And that's a big deal. Now I want to bring a special guest. We're going to roll the tape on something very special. Thank you.
Hello to all of you in Austin, Texas, at this wonderful event, the Texas Film Hall of Fame. I am grateful and proud to us to receive, as a family, the Texan Star Award for our film, Spy Kids. I want to thank Robert Rodriguez and Elizabeth Avillan at Troublemaker Studios for the opportunity to be Gregorio Cortez, wonderful father and spy. And to Carla Gugino, of course, Alexa Vega, and Daryl Savara for being my family and fellow spy. A lot of kisses to all of you.
What a wonderful surprise. I didn't know we would hear from him. And I love it. Every time I hear his voice, it sounds more and more like Puss in Boots. First of all, I can't get over what an amazing full circle it is that we're here, right here on the stages where we filmed all these Spy Kids movies from 1 through 5. I want to thank the Austin Film Society, Texas Film Hall of Fame for this wonderful honor for what is truly my favorite movie of all the movies I've gotten to make, because it's so close to my heart, to my family, even based on my family. In fact, so many of my earliest short films that I would enter into contests were all precursors to Spy Kids, so this film kind of represents the kind of movie I've been making since I was in high school, growing up in San Antonio in a family of 10 children. All my backyard movies were always action comedies that starred my little brothers and sisters, and I found that to be such a winning combination at film festivals that I knew someday I'd make a feature film version, and Spy Kids was born. And not just the idea of the movie itself, but also the process, which was so important. I realized that one of the big secrets to the success of my short films was how I made them at home, in my backyard, with my family, my siblings. I wanted to keep that method really going and apply it to my bigger budget films. That's why I stayed home. That's why I stayed here in Texas. We didn't want these movies to be or feel factory made, but more like a home-cooked meal. You know, you'd rather have a home-cooked meal than a McDonald's burger, you know, and that's what a factory film would feel like. And I think that's why movies like Spy Kids are really just home movies. I wanted to make a film that captured the spirit of my experiences growing up in such a large family, but I wasn't sure if people would be that interested in hearing about my family, so I made them spies, because I thought that would have more worldwide appeal. And once I happened upon this idea for Spy Kids, I remember being very protective of it. I thought it was a great idea. Nothing like it had ever existed. I wouldn't even tell people the title. And it seems crazy now because it's become such a trope. But most of the reviews at that time started by saying, I can't believe this movie hasn't already been made by Hollywood. It seems like such an obvious idea. Sometimes the best ideas are the ones that are this close to your face. You know, kids that have to go save their parents. That was not a story trope yet. You've seen that a bunch since, but that was really new back then. Much less kids that were spies. I mean, I knew it would be my most successful film because it would appeal to a wider audience than the ones I had been making, which were more niche, you know, gory action movies, horror films, but this one would appeal to families and children. But those are your most loyal audience, by the way. You know, a parent might watch it one or twice, but kids watch it over and over. If it's something they love and it empowers them, they will watch it again and again and again. And if you get into a child's dreams like that, you have to be really cognizant of what you're putting in there. So we try to fill it with life lessons and family values. In fact, at the time, it was such an odd choice to have the children go on the adventure and not the parents. So when we first screen tested it, it didn't even test that well. Parents were so confused. They thought, something's wrong with this movie. The parents, they complained. The parents get taken away within minutes, and then the kids take over the movie. I mean, no one had seen anything like that. But that's what I really wanted. I wanted it to be an action film for kids. I wanted kids to have a really robust action-adventure film to call their own. And remember, this was even before Harry Potter, so this was really new. So this film started as a dream I had here in Texas, that we got to realize that dream right here in this building with so many talented actors, Daryl Sabara, Alexa Vega, Carla Gugino, Alan Cumming, the great Tony Shalhoub, Robert Patrick, and Puss in Boots himself, Antonio Banderas. And what a dream it was, getting to make this film at home with Elizabeth Avellan and our children who were stunt kids in those first films. And now they've grown to be our co-writers, composers, production designers. A family legacy sprang from this film. And I'll forever be grateful for that. And for Texas stepping up to be there for us, to be that community for us to make it. I want to thank all our local crew and craftspeople that brought their creativity and extreme imagination to the table, instilling magic in the hearts of children and their families who've enjoyed this film for the past 25 years. You know that thing you're all chasing the whole movie? The third brain is right here. I mean, to be making things like that in-house here that children dream of I owe that to our film community here. Because before this film, Texas was known for doing westerns and stuff. This big Willy Wonka, James Bond action movie was something really new. It showed that we could do any kind of movie we imagined here. And it changed the workforce even. when I meet families that grew up with these movies, they say how much Spy Kids inspired them to be closer to their siblings when they were growing up and gave them something common to play, act, and imagine themselves being Spy Kids. I just met a Neuralink scientist yesterday, and she told me about what the movie meant to her when she was a child. And you see them always, their face lights up, and you see the child in them again, really get excited about how much time they spent with their siblings watching these movies and dreaming about them. It's the most beautiful gift you could hear, those stories and meeting people who made it a part of their lives. So I'm grateful for Texas. For this film really couldn't be made anywhere else, because here we could truly be outside of the movie industry here. And George Lucas told me that. He said, it's so smart that you live in Austin, because when you live outside of the box of Hollywood, you automatically think outside of the box. You will stumble upon innovations and ideas they'll never think of over there. And he was right. I mean, through the Spy Kids films alone, we were the first to film movies digitally here. We were the first to shoot all green screen movies, make the first digital 3D movie with Spy Kids 3D that revitalized 3D movie making. So many innovations started right here in Austin at this studio because we just stayed outside of the box. So I'm very proud of Texas, proud that this was my home state, and that we were able to create something here that is generational, that has had so much impact that it even entered the U.S. Library of Congress for being culturally significant. We gotta be really proud about that. And about that, it was the first movie franchise to showcase a predominantly Latin family in the leads, to the point that when the studio first read the script, they said, but why are you making them Latin? Why don't you just make them American? And I said, well, they are American. And they said, they are American. It's not taking place in another country. But they said, you know, they were worried. They went, well, if they're Latin, won't only Latins go see the movie? And I said, I mean, I don't think so. I think that because they're spies, it opens up the appeal for it to be for anyone who wants to see a family spy film, I think. I mean, I really didn't know either, because at that time, and this was only 25 years ago, there was no other movie I could point to as evidence that where it was even attempted before. So of course they were worried, and they said, why not just change it so as not take the chance? So I said, well, because it's based on my family. Growing up in Texas, I can't change my family. Well, that still didn't convince them, so I had to come up with a different reason, because I actually understood their concern. And I didn't have a good answer, which is what it was going to be a gamble. Was it really worth the gamble? We know now, of course, it was worth the gamble. But at the time, I thought about it some more, and I finally came up with the winning argument. I said, okay, here it is. You don't have to be British to enjoy James Bond. I said, by making him so specific to a certain culture and place, he becomes universal. Pretty good, right? I mean, they bought that argument. And there's 5 of those movies now. So on that note, I have to give an extra special thanks to my uncle for being such an inspiration for this movie. See, my uncle was a special agent in the FBI. And I remember seeing it written on his badge when I was a kid. It fueled my imagination. It said special agent. Not secret agent, it was special agent, but I didn't know the difference. I was like, and he was the only FBI agent to bring down 2 top 10 criminals in the US. So that really inspired me. That's why Antonio Banderas plays, like you said, Gregorio Cortés. He's named after my uncle, Gregorio Rodriguez. So the lead characters, Carmen and Junie, are named after my 2 siblings. And I'm just so grateful that I was raised in such an inspiring, amazing, loving family here in Texas. And through this movie, got to share our family stories and our family values with the rest of the world. One of the greatest gifts was getting to work with the 2 spy kids themselves, Daryl and Alexa. I love that they say I changed their life because they met their spouses through me, but that really it was, you know, reciprocal. We all changed each other's lives. They changed my life and the lives of my children in a significant way, and it's a mind-blowing concept, but they really inspired me to challenge my own kids so much more than I would have done otherwise. Because every day, Daryl and Alexa, I mean, there were no stunt kids for them. They had to do their own stunts. They had to do wire work, things they never encountered before. And I would see just how much their confidence would be boosted by taking on major challenges each day as they discovered who they even were and what they were even capable of, day-to-day, film-to-film. And it just amazed me seeing them turn into these super children before my eyes. And it made me realize I really need to push my own children that hard and challenge them, because I don't think you don't necessarily think to do that to your own kids. You'll do it to your actor because you're paying them, but not to your children. And then seeing the people they became because of it. And so I started doing that. Now I have the most amazing children. So now I have to thank Daryl and Alexa for that, because they set the bar really high. One of my favorite experiences, my son Rebel was on Wires Right on that green screen, and he's like, "How come I have to do my own stunts?" He was not into it. He didn't apply for that job, and it's like, just do it. So it was a life-changing experience. And in their grown years, Daryl and Alexa each went on to have beautiful, loving families and children of their own. They each have 3 children. They continue to inspire and be role models to this day. Another grown fan told me how she grew up with the movie. She went on, but she went, "But you know, those kids turned out to be great kids. They still inspire me today. They didn't turn into some of the movie kids. They're really great people and still inspire." So that's amazing. So to Daryl, you were such a wonderful boy in those movies, who is now an amazing man, terrific actor, but also a family man, a wonderful parent. Alexa, you're an incredible artist, producer, amazing mother. I could not be more proud of the both of you for taking that legacy and expanding upon it. So thank you, Austin. Thank you, San Antonio. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my extended family, which is my Texas crew, my Texas cast. Thank you with all my heart. Thank you.